just requires a lot of foolishness to actually do it. Like in his final year, when you're financially not very strong, would not, I mean, I didn't know like how the rate would come next month, and going ahead and saying no to the job that you got in the placements, and getting scolded by the study before he was supposed to join. So it's just that I was in case I was always fascinated by drones. Just wanted to do that. Really didn't know, didn't plan long enough what I'm going to do or how it's going to happen. And things sort of fell into place once we started doing things, experimenting a lot. So I was doing it separately, but then idea first company had formed, but they were doing something at that time, and we got other IT company people itself. So we got together that we can do together we can build drones, and that's how we started.
Again, interesting to share. What was the idea for this initial product? What were they working on?
So the first product, they wanted to solve energy problem for rural areas, especially where the mobiles were getting popular in villages. There was a time when mobiles were available, but electricity was not there. That you could not charge phones, so people would go to shops to get their phone charged. Like they pay 5 rupees to get their phone charged. So you're trying to build hand crank mobile phone chargers, which was super do it at home.
Mobile chargers are kind of really one of the best defense tech company focused on phones in the country, right? So this 3 idiots, there's this drone.
Was I think there was a news article about that in some case, in some project about drones. India was the Reddit and people smile at that. They were making this movie 3 idiots. They wanted to show cool project in the movie, and it just happened that we were at the right time and they approved us, and they shot us. They invited us to Bangalore. They were shooting it, and that's how it. So later people thought that we copied it from 3 idiots. So initially we tried to sort of stay away from it, that okay, we didn't want to be, because we were targeting defense, we didn't want it to be like a toy thing. So we didn't want to be associated. But the fact that literally everyone has watched 3 idiots, if you go to like Leh Ladakh areas, everyone has seen. So we then started embracing it as okay, it's not a bad idea. So it's a good, easy way for people to explain what do we do. Otherwise people did not know do.
What are you doing in the current of now? This is like you moved out of Idea Force 2014, 2025 in a different avatar. Obviously, he's one of the rare breeds who's done a lot of work in hardware in between with a consumer-first hardware company. Built one of the very, very promising AI app back in 2015, 16, right? Which was editing videos.
Summarize the videos from like long footage to short stories. It was slightly ahead of time. We sort of ran out of money by 2017 when TikTok and reels got popular after 2018, 19. And then for 6 years I was doing a solo bootstrap thing, like a single person did not hire anyone, did not raise money. So for 6 years I was just building B2B apps for marketing. So I mean, through all of this, I figured that my passion lied in hardware and defense. I had already done drones, and already there are a lot of people who are working on drones. I wanted to come back to defense, and I was looking for the right problem statement. Spent some time thinking, and figured out like what we built early on. Drones, other than the fact that they are very, very useful, they are also becoming a nuance, and we are going to require systems which can detect drones and utilize them. So decided to get into building on-the-run systems. And like I'm sure everyone has seen in the last 3 months, there were so many drones which were sent from Pakistan side towards India. And that's the technology where we want the systems to be deployed.
So, I want to just come back to what's happening in the counter drone, but just I want to just go back to one perspective. Back in college, you started, you picked up first observation of the graduation, right? But within space technology in India, maybe we're seeing signs of that. There are larger companies taking the opportunity to launch. SpaceX is huge, right? Today it's a $500 billion company, targeted to be a $2.5, $3 billion company in a couple of years. you had that opportunity to kind of get into space where there's a clear market, where there's a clear opportunity. Why did you pick up what you're doing today?
One of the things that we realized in the very beginning of starting Pixel was there is no way we could build a technology just for the sake of building a technology. We were going to give us money for it. So finding commercial use case for what we were to build was very, very critical to us. And the genesis of Pixel is us looking at different competitions where people are trying to solve food scarcity issues, people are trying to work on pollution at large scales. And the prices of very, I mean, it's very normal across multiple companies, organizations, but when you look at purchasing a launch opportunity, it takes 9, 10 years to build a successful launch company. You need to raise multiple rounds, and we just didn't see that kind of route in India. The idea with Pixel also is to go further ahead. And we didn't just think of the next 5 years, 6 years as something cool to build. But the idea has always been the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. How do we build a company that will become synonymous with India's space story when the next few generations come and see it? And we feel that resource extraction in space is going to start as we start proliferating space, because taking things from outer space is very expensive. And we want to be there when people are searching for these resources. We want to be, the lights, the guiding lights when people want to look for uranium or gallium or all of these rare earths in space. So that's also where Earth observation was our conduit to building such technologies, commercializing them, finding customers for them, and then becoming experts in those technologies that we can then send people into space in the future.
This is still a 19-year-old, 20-year-old guy pitching to us. Because the pitch is very consistent when you heard it for the first time. You mentioned that the idea was pick up something which you could commercialize in a short period of time, raise capital with this appetite. But even then at your PCC, you faced for 100 plus rejections.
Quite a bit. Actually, the good part about this is it's been consistent since then. And because we had this experience very early on of getting so many rejections, it just didn't feel like so now it is used to it. But I think at that point of time in India, there was a regulatory uncertainty. There was uncertainty in terms of this technology actually happening, us being able to build them, us being able to attract the best talent and things like that. So the bet that Rohit did take at that time was actually quite surprising to us as well. But it worked out.
No, the bet, we actually increased the amount sitting in the room at that thing that we want to put some more money, but that's a different story. But let me, again, this point around perception that deep tech takes a long time to commercialize. We've done 6 years. You're a space qualified company, you've got commercial constellation, the first Indian private company to have a constellation, the first company in the world to offer hyperspectral imagery at this resolution, right? And in 5 years, multiple demos and reaching this commercial thing, right? And now today you've got Rio Tinto, British Petroleum, Google, bunch of these large companies buying data, right? How is this? Because this one point around being a hardware guy, a lot of people end up spending a lot of time in the labs building products, not focusing on the market, right? How do you guys decide to kind of stay relevant to the market, make sure that you're talking to the customers all the time and feeling that thing? What was the journey? What was the process of that?
First is raising, it was a cycle, right? To raise investments, you need customers. To get customers, you need satellites. To get satellites, you need investment. So for us to sort of just ensure that these was brute force in some way, that were chicken egg problems, we spent a lot of time just reaching out to customers. In fact, the first thing we did when we started Pixel was to just randomly reach out to people who work with any form of satellite imagery, any form of drone imagery, and just ask them if they would use hyperspectral data and what use case they would have from it. Of course, you knock 100 doors to feel that answer, someone will be giving you a useful answer, and that's kind of what we banked on And then we got into this accident in the US, Texas, where people actually took us seriously. They did not look at the age, they did not look at the experience. They were just having a conversation with someone who was interested in something that they were interested in. And that's how we got connected to leaders at these companies. In agri, it's a very, very well understood business. Satellite imagery for agriculture is pretty sorted because the applications are very clear. Yield estimation, disease estimation, so on and so forth. But when you go to mining and energy, especially oil and gas, these companies have been burned by startups coming, trying to build something, and then it may be working out, maybe not working out. So with them, we have to be very patient, find the right people, the scientists in those organizations, and then just ensure that they stay excited about the project, and they have been. So now we are in a position where we are actually providing images to them, and it feels very nice. It feels that, okay, these people have been waiting for 2 years, 2.5 years, because we did start our commercial reach out very, very early. One good thing that has also happened is because we built satellites now, we built cameras, we put both of them in space, they work. We also have a lot of government interest. So we never really went outbound to say that, hey, we're going to sell you a satellite. But we got a lot of inbound from the Indian government that, hey, can you build these satellites? These are some opportunities that we want to open. Can you help us with the RFPs? Can you apply for the render the technology and so on and so forth? So there was a lot of inbound that came in that region that allowed us to sort of fast track our manufacturing business also. So I think commercial traction initially looked like it was going to be a very difficult goal. To be honest, there were days when even we were a little bit not sure that, okay, fine, is this really going to work out with the customers? How are they going to react to the data? But de-risking it along the way with demos and satellites, with whatever we could, spending a lot of time with customers, doing customer education also, because for a lot of them this type of data set was very new, never started. So yeah, I think it's been a roller coaster of sorts, but mostly nice.
I'll come back to you. You started what, 6-7 months ago, finally? Product development started at 8 September. Nobody was anticipating operations into India, Pakistan situation, and that kind of pushed you to fast track a lot of the development. And you literally went in 6 months with a product which you have field tested. 2 questions, could you have done this 10 years back in India? Building a hardware company, a product in 6 months, and how do you make sure that the product is right?
I think one of the things that I did earlier area was that going out to the field, doing demonstration really helps in a lot of ways. Other than one is very asking to see your product, second is very closely engaging with the customer. You can do a lot of lab testing and development, but until you actually go out, and you literally get slapped on the face when you go in the field. The first time we were called for demonstrating the DSF across Pakistan border long back. So we used to fly, our office was inside IT, we used to fly a drone, 50, 70 meters high, and we used to look at everything.
Why is it other screen not working? Other TV screen? उस स्क्रीन पे कुछ नहीं दिख रहा।
Should work. I'm just testing.
Without crossing the border, it flew and we was not seeing anything, absolutely nothing at all. They took us to several places, but they gave us a really good feedback, like a 9 days long feedback. And in the next 8 to 9 months, we worked on all of them.
Anything you need, ask me. Anything you need, ask me.
So I think
Anything you need,
ask me.
Why is he not doing anything?
And this was very, very clear to me from the beginning.
He's not made infographics. बहुत मेहरबानी कर दी
It requires some amount of experience to know that what are the things that you could do in simulations, what are the things you should spend time on. Actually, brute forcing it on the field. A lot of things can be done. You have
मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रहा था लैपटॉप।
He was not looking at
we did have plans to obviously move ahead fast enough, but I think this operation is because conflict in Russia, and also before noticed also the Pakistan side, there were groups still coming in regularly. This complex obviously no one could predict. Because of that, there was such a high urgency that we had to push ourselves really, really hard. Like we had intense 6 weeks just to be able to go out and do demonstrations which Indian Army was looking for. They wanted to be, prepared. So yeah, I think it has fast-tracked things. Now looking back, I think probably would have been the same place in a few months, but because of that, it did show.
Power cut for you, if you look at the year, what? How much? What percentage of market?
Not a lot. I mean, semiconductor is something that we do not make in India, so we have to get it outside. The rest, I think we do in India. We do have enough, enough things available within India. The biggest problem with hardware is the iteration cycles, and lead times for a lot of things. Which are even commercial organizations. You would ask the general trend is that it could be 8 weeks to 20 weeks. 20 weeks is 5 months, right? For a startup of myself, for me, I always think that what can possibly take 5 months to get something that you have been building for years? Like, I just do not understand it myself. That if I am building something for years, why would something like 20 weeks? And people have taken it for granted that that is things that it cannot be changed. And we push really, really hard. So we will always look for alternatives or push them hard that why does it have to be 20 weeks? And especially when you are doing prototyping, when you want to do one unit. Imagine waiting 5 months for that unit, and if it does not work out good for you, then you will be waiting for another 5 months. You just cannot do development that way. We push really, really hard. We can say, just see, borrow, whatever, just get it as much as possible. And increase your iteration cycles. I think that is the key to actually build products faster. That you see up your iteration. Yeah, we do sometimes order things just extra, or we might use it. We sometimes have to order it, and it has actually saved the day for us several times.
Any hard days, being the city of this circle and
I think when it's hard, it's usually like the nights that become tough because you try to solve the problem and close it down. There are many instances that come to mind. A couple that they come. Again, semiconductor supply chain can be tricky. There is this part that we have, Sam, Lisa, that went into some of our older satellites. And the nearest supplier for that was like 5 months, 6 months, something like that at that point of time. Our software guy, who used to work at THAKUR, said that the Ether scooters are the same thing. If you buy a few scooters, it's not and then use them. Do not do that. From a precision standpoint and quality standpoint, but just the kind of ideas that come at 11 in the night when everyone's just sitting with cups of coffee and discussing what to solve. And the other one was we were stingy with a few components, one thing, screws that weren't separate. So titanium is different grades, grade 2, grade 5. And we said, fine, it doesn't matter, if simulations are okay with titanium grade 2, we went with titanium grade 2 screws, we took the satellite on a vibration table, and the screws started coming apart one by one. And this was 2 weeks before I shipped the satellite. So I am out with a Corolla asking for titanium grade 5 screws with molybdenum disulfide coating to every single person that I know after that test. And we found them, we fixed them, and everything happened. But funny days, tough days, in hindsight, they're all funny days.
Sometimes when you think that you're better off running an AI first SaaS company and have a lot of free time.
So here's the thing. It might be tough. It might be sometimes you have to do a lot of different things to get to the right way, but it's never boring. Every single day is exciting in a different way. You will solve problems, new problems will come, and it never stops. But it's very exciting.
So the idea was to kind of talk about AI. That's just kind of things in the world around AI, and what's the edge you've seen in your product today, right? With the way that market has grown, that capability has grown. Do you visualize what you're building differently today? And the iteration you have in mind 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, what does it look like? More in either one. Yeah.
So we've always branded ourselves as a data company. Data is our primary business. And essentially with hypothetical data, the idea that you always had is when you have more amount of data, you basically image the Earth's chemistry in a lot of times. So instead of the RGB that your phone would take, we take it in hundreds of times. And when you take hundreds of bands of data, the number of combinations that you can create to do anything from identifying methane leaks to identifying certain species of crop, they all come down to the computer vision AI side of things, how those models are built, how those fundamental models are built, how they are deployed, and how easy to make it for the customer. In the end, a hedge fund just wants to know what the price of corn in the US would be. The satellite will keep taking images, we will have a model running, they will have their own custom models, and in the end, the program keeps getting updated after every single image. And that's the idea. That's the direction in which we want to go. In the second direction, there is edge computing and edge AI. This is primarily driven by defense requirements, and it belongs to do with the current requirements for images of IAM. In general, these requirements will always ask, how quickly can you send us the data? So if you want an image of your farm in India at like today, you would have to give me a request at 9 a.m. and I'd probably get it to you by 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. something like that. But
Get one for this place.
But essentially, the idea is to be able to detect different things and then just give information. To be the brass, the IMN folks that do the analysis, Air Force folks that do the analysis, have to spend a lot of time to identify the right things, the right areas. So defense is primarily AI requirements in most cases. Even things like identification of ships, identification of camouflage, vehicles, tanks, decoys, things like that. And on ground, it's primarily agriculture, obviously, given the amount of use cases available and cases. So I think it's been in the DNA of the company since day one. The idea has always been to leverage, whatever we can in learning, artificial intelligence to just create more insightful products. There's also better margins with those products, so more revenue for the company.
Everyone AI to start with and
So one, we use AI in the company itself a lot for ourselves, like for us to be able to do things faster. Like I myself spent an insane amount of time just starting and having long like 5-6 hours of sessions. Especially when you're doing research, which is sort of multidisciplinary, there's no better way to actually do it other than actually just reason it out with the AI. In our products, we use AI very, very deeply. So just for a reference, what we do is we detect drones using the communication that they are doing with the operator. So we detect drones at a few kilometers away, and then we neutralize them. Right now we have software solutions, them of GPS, and then next week we will be hardware solutions. So until now, most of the radio frequency related things were done using classical digital signal processing. This is computationally very heavy and still trying to solve. If you look at the environment